story. I'll tell you the truth about that story. I was helping John Hunter, who's the greatest Christian man God ever made, and the best human being God ever made. And I'm a strong Christian. And we were at Whitfield. We had a little small school. We did pretty good for what we had. So we went to play Marist, and you guys had, I think all 2 or 3 of those guys off the attack went D1, great face-off guy. We couldn't beat the face-off guy, so we were spearing between his hands, and they were up like 6 or 7 goals, and old Lou's like, oh, hey, Mike, we're talking back and forth across the box, and they had 2 or 3 guys, George, my former players, were, on staff coaching at Bears, hey, Mike, and the ref wasn't calling the fact, well, I mean, it's a borderline hold, but if you're getting killed on face-offs, at least it's not a fast break, it's a whistle and we get back. We were just like doing the best with what we had. And I think we got within 3 or 4 in the second half.
You did.
And my good friend Lou, all of a sudden wasn't so sweet. Hey, Mike, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I don't remember that. Anyway, I can't tell you the amount of work that goes into this. And I reiterate what Lou said, with the U.S. Lacrosse Georgia, and especially this guy right here, Mike Letkis. He's a great coach. He was a slightly below average player.
Better than you.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Princeton guy, so on and so forth. But for what you guys do, it's mind-blowing, and here's a guy that has decided that he can help kids more at the middle school level than he can other stuff. Where you don't get money, you don't get the notoriety, so on and so forth. Our sport is founded on guys like you, man, and you're amazing. I put Lou in the exact same category. Way back in the day, I coached a 15 or a 17 team for Team Georgia, and first got to know these guys. You guys are amazing, and I just had to say that.
Thanks, Mike.
I got a ton of film here. Listen, I really don't want to... This is not a commercial for me. I mean, shit, I'm 62 years old. I'm fat. I'm over the hill. My days are behind me. I just bought a lacrosse company 5 months ago. I don't know why. Everybody else is retired. But I want to share with you that the information that I'm going to present to you this morning, where it comes from. And number one, in real life, you may not know that I've spent the last 18 years on the leadership circuit. I'm on the Microsoft Trust 2.0 team. I've done leadership work, a ton of work for the FAA, Time Warner, Motorola. Wrote my first book on Gen X, Unlock the Mysteries to Human Capital Management back in 2004, where I was writing for Ken Blanchard at the time. My research corporately has been on engaging Generation X, and of course now millennials, and of course now Generation Z, and I work with corporate teams all across the United States. Really kind of interesting, right? Because every year there's new studies on engagement and turnover and retention, and employees under the age of 30 in metro markets like Atlanta are changing jobs every 3 years by the time they're 28. It's a challenge for corporate America, right? And in that vein, I've been blessed to do a number of commencement speeches, Purdue's MBA, so on and so forth. So a lot of my research comes from the corporate side. How do we engage young people? What are they interested in? How do you keep them in the game mentally, all those kind of things. And then 10 years ago now, I can't believe it's been 10 years, I was doing a lot of clinics with Jim Berkman from Salisbury, and I'm kind of a Berkman protege in my practice approaches. And in those days, they weren't inviting the high school guys to IMLCA much. I was the first high school coach at McIntosh, where Pete Cramblett is now, who's here. And we went from a new program to state championship game in 4 years. A great game, double OT against Lovett. Had we had decent coaching, we probably would have won. But anyway, at IMLCA, I was amazed at how honest the coaches were and the information that they were sharing. And really what happened was, it was the last session of the day. You guys gone to LaxCon, or maybe you're here today. You take a bunch of notes, right? And it was like the 5 o'clock session. And that's before they had concurrent sessions, just 30 or 40 in a room at one time, very intimate. And make long story short, I wasn't going to go to the last session, because you're in Baltimore, and I was going to go to Fells Point with the boys and do a little green turtle, do a little wings, maybe have a draft. And I was going to go to my room, and I got caught up in what you've heard from from Lou, and I've done a lot of coaching clinics across the United States, and I haven't done nearly as many LaxCons as Lou, but I've done a handful. I tell coaches all the time, you're hypocrites. You want your players on the wall, you want your players conditioning, you want your players reading the playbooks or whatever you put out there, and then in the wintertime, you sit on your ass the whole time while you want your kids to work, and then you want them to one standard, and you're not holding yourself to the same standard. You know, between the Jamie Monroe stuff, the U.S. Lacrosse stuff like Lax Coach Mike, the internet now, I mean, it's nuts how much information is out there to help coaches. And 99% of it is free. You know, I got 8,500 members of LaxCoachMike.com. I got like 50 that pay. Usually the stuff doesn't work. Paul sent me an email yesterday, I can't log into my shit, Mike. Anyway. So this information, I want you to know, none of it is mine. And through the 10 years, when I was at IMLCA, the last session was zone defenses. I didn't really care too much about zone defenses, but I started to have the thoughts that Lou said, you're here. I wanted to go to my room, take a nap, because old people can't go drink unless they get a nap in the afternoon, you know? And I went to the session, and I got there early. You ever done this before? I got to the session early. I put my stuff down in the back row, on a chair on the end so I could sneak out, right? Y'all cool with me so far? I go to the next level. Once I put my stuff down, I actually went back and opened the door to see if it creaked. Because if you leave early and the door creaks, everybody turns around, right? The door didn't creak. I'm made in the shade. So I come back, I sit in my chair. I'm feeling pretty good about myself now. The session starts. It was a coach without a real high pedigree. It was kind of interesting. I really wasn't that interested. And I had taken like 35 pages of notes anyway, but I'm sitting there wondering when I'm going to leave. 10 minutes into the presentation, I get a tap on my shoulder. I'm in the last seat in the last row. It's a tap on my shoulder. And the guy says, excuse me, can you move down 4 or 5 seats? No, I can't move down, man. I'm leaving early. I already tested the door. When you test the door, you can sit in the end seat. And as I looked up, it was this guy, Coach Petramala. And in those days, it was a trilogy. It was Coach Petramala, Coach Meade, and Bill Tierney. The three of them were like this back in the day. And well, what am I going to say to Petramala, right? So I pick up my stuff, I go sit in the middle, and I pout. Because now I'm stuck for another 45 minutes listening to a bunch of crap I don't care about, and I can't even leave because these three famous guys pushed me out of my chair that I got there 15 minutes early to get. I could have been outside having a cigar. And I'm sitting there, man. Now, Petramala, you know, you talk about guys like Brody Merrill and Joe White, arguably one of the top 5 or 6 best college defensemen of all time. His coach is sitting next to him at the time, Bill Tierney, the patriarch of defensive coaching to a degree, the founder of the show slide, the founder of different packages, right? The founder or the patriarch really of sucking people into the hub. And then you have Richie Meade, who of course, you know, he's in the Naval Academy preparing people to save our lives every day. And you may not know that Richie taught self-defense, I think, at the Naval Academy. Not the kind of guy you want to mess with, you know? And I'm sitting there pouting, and as the session goes on, I look down. Petramala takes like 9 pages of notes. Tierney takes like 2 or 3 pages of notes. Richie Meade didn't take any notes because it wasn't about leadership. You gotta know. Anyway, and I started, you know, I went back to my room and I was very, very melancholy. And I said, man, if Petramala is going to take all these notes, and Tierney is taking notes from this non-pedigree coach, trying to come up with one new idea to put their kids in a better position to be successful. And that's the definition of coaching, right? Put your kids in a position to be successful. You think, you know, Tierney said one time to me on a podcast, he goes, I've come to not enjoy Saturdays. I said, why is that, coach? He goes, that's the day I coach the least. If you think you're going to be a coach and win games on the field, you might make a decision or two during the course of the game that may lead to a goal or a better slide package, but players got to make plays. And if you're a young coach, you get caught up, and I know I did, and I know, you know, these famous coaches that are here. Paulie's a great coach, man. Lou's a great coach. Alberici's a great coach. You think, you know, that I love to coach against the Busiks. I love to coach against the Mike Ryans of the world. I love to coach against the Corsettis because it's a chess match, you know. And Tony, I don't mean to leave anybody out. I mean, coaching against Tony is like one of my favorite things in the world at Westminster. But our job is preparation. So my talk with you now is, how do we prepare players? I've worked predominantly with high school teams. I coached at Auburn, had some success there. Until my last year, I had a really terrible goalie. And rather than pull the score in, these clowns in the back row ran it up to like 109-4. That was the end of my career. They took away all my Auburn shirts. I had to have a map of Alabama in my car. They came and took that away.
Fast like you.
Yeah. Anyway, so it was kind of like head coaching and on the upper level. And then we bought this company 5 months ago. And we have 250 kids in a fall league, like 300, 350 in a spring league. So now all of a sudden, I've got 12 or 13 dads, some guys with some coaching experience that are coaching middle school. And I'm thinking, cool, man, it's already set up. We just kind of buff it up like you would a player. And I go watch them coach, and I'm aghast. Not only are they yelling at their players during the game, they're yelling at the other team's players during the game. So I bring the coaching staff in, the middle school guys. I mean, this is all new experience for me, right? And I'm saying, hey, man, you got to understand, we have one rule. Lee Morgan, great coach over here, just took the job at Whitewater. I worked with Lee for a long time. It was a guy that he had recommended, and I had to have a heart-to-heart with a guy. And I said, you got to understand, here's what we do. We teach fun first, we teach ground ball second. Teach fun first, teach ground ball second, right? If they're loving the game, we can get them to do all that stuff you want them to do. And you would be amazed. The guys you see on TV, and I've been blessed because I've built a relationship with 10 years over these 160 hours of podcasts. You got to remember, every time I do a podcast, it's usually an hour conversation off the air too. So I've had 200, 250 hours of PhD one-on-one training about drills from the best coaches in the world. And we try and share that on the internet. But what I want to tell you was, even the guys that you see are the screamers and the F-bomb guys like Petro, guys like Tierney, my buddy at Delphi, who incidentally was a high school coach. Not many of those guys ever had high school coach. Purdy, and played on the Australian team. Did you ever play against him, Paul?
Yes.
Yeah. Paul played for Team Israel, right?
No.
Oh, I thought you did.
No, I played in Israel with Team USA.
Sorry. That's what happens when you get to be 62. Anyway, the guys you see on the sidelines that are screamers, when I interview them, and if you listen to these podcasts, and there's a lot of guys in this room that do listen to the podcast, it's amazing how you hear them talk about you got to make practice fun for the players, even at Johns Hopkins. So why wouldn't it be exponentially more important as guys like Lou are out there helping all of us learn to grow the game at the grassroots level? So let me share some of my ideas with you. We're all about touches, touches, touches. You've heard some great coaches today. Like I said, I've got over 10 years, 160 hours of podcasts and these interviews. The biggest thing I think I've learned is that there's no one way to skin a cat. Some guys are very traditional in their practice plans. I was teasing Coach Alberici earlier this morning. We affectionately refer to it as the Macera model. And I want to give some credit to Lou again. Do you remember when you guys brought Macera down? We actually, and he doesn't I don't think he's done 10 coaching clinics in his whole life. And in the early days of Bagadway, Lou brought him down. I made the mistake of sitting in the front row, as I often do. And I think I had more Macera slobber on me that day as he got wound up. Stick to stick, or head. That Macera model, or the upstate model, we say very affectionately and respectfully, an hour of fundamentals, a little bit of transition, maybe some 4-on-4, maybe some 6-on-6, and 10v10. That was always the model. Now you're seeing coaches change that up all the time, and it's predicated on touches. Understand this, when I first started to write for Lax Power, I wrote an article, drills for ADD players or something, and I got an email from the attorney, you can't use ADD in a title, you're going to jail. I said, well, you have to come to the home to get me because I live in a home. That's the reason I had to be on early today, because our bingo starts at 4 today, and I got to get back. The attention span is short. College coaches run their drills 7 to 10 minutes max, like you heard Al Ricci and you've heard the coaches talk, because the attention span is so short. I can remember in the old days, even coaching with Pete, you know, we'd say, okay, we're going to run traditional fast break, and we're going to do it until we score 5. Next thing you know, it's 8:30 at night, you got the headlights on the trucks around the field. They're not having any fun. I'm breaking buckets, which is really stupid. If you lose your temper, never break a bucket, because then you got to put all those balls in your trunk by hand. So you got to change them up. You know, I can remember when Brody Merrill joined BlacksCoachMike.com. I couldn't believe it. And I said, can I call you? And I called him, and I've gotten to know him. And I said, hey man, why would you join our website? He said, I've got 17 ways to run 3v2. You've got like 32. And it's not good or bad, but you got to change it up every day so the kids have their interest, right? And then it focuses again on touches. Last year or 2 years ago at LaxCon, I talked about how you can make any drill 4 or 5 drills. Put the poles in a different place, stagger 1, high, stag low, make it an add 1. You know, have the guy run around the bucket. Who was talking about that, Paulie? Yeah, you know, I got a nice twist on that drill. We make them run around an assistant coach, and the guy's always moving. Which is really, it turns out to be a joke, you know, or really, the kids are like this, you know, and yeah. Next thing. Kids today, this goes back to my corporate research, I don't care how many titles you got, I don't care how many awards you've won, and there's a lot of coaches in this room that have won a lot of awards. And I've been really blessed with some peer-based awards, both at the high school and I think actually Coach Lovick pushing for me when I got the SCLC D1 Coach of the Year. That was these guys helping me out. But what I want to tell you is, kids today question authority figures. It doesn't matter how many championships you've won. I can remember my first week of practice at Auburn. They were god-awful, and Ken warned me what I was getting into. He goes, they're great athletes, but they suck. And at the end of the first week, I'm going, have you guys not read my resume? Listen to what I'm saying. But it doesn't matter with the kids of today. You have to prove yourself with every practice plan. Kids don't want to run drills that don't directly emulate game situations, so they want to know, why are we doing this? You know, and college coaches, there's still only 2 college coaches, so there's no reason for me to share their names, in the country, out of 160 that I've talked to, that still run line drills at practice every day. You see teams run line drills in pregame for more of a logistics about field space and the goalies warmed up, and you know, unfortunately in Georgia, if you're playing an away game, you got 20 minutes. You know, not counting the 20, you got to go get your balls if they don't have a net behind the cage. They should change that. Anyway, so your drills want to emulate game situations, and this is where I'm going to go now with my 200 touches. I used to think that 15 years ago, I used to think that practice plans were done by coaches that didn't understand the game. Again, I was so stupid. Coaching is so much more fun if you've put a lot of time into your practice plan, you know what the logic is, and you can change the drills day to day. You know, when Lou made a comment about when you tell the guys to run 2 laps, that's so the coaches could talk about what they had for lunch that day. Right? And the coach, oh, no, we've got them cradling while they're running 2 laps. You know, like, kiss my ass, right? That's not touch, in my mind, right? Not touch. Anyway, so here's how we do our practice plans. We actually track the minutes, okay? And when you see 10 minutes on a drill, what that means is that we're running it generally right and left. You guys wish you had this, didn't it, Paul? Huh? Look at the big time speaker, baby. Look at the big time. Anyway, notice here that in our typical practice plan, right, in roughly 40, 45 minutes, we've got 100 touches. Notice too that almost everything we're doing here is some kind of touch drill, where we generally use shooting drills to get our touches because it's more fun for the kids. This isn't to say that my philosophy is right and other people's philosophy is different. I can remember years ago when I was coaching the Copperhead team that won the national championship, some of you guys that are in this room would say, can we come and watch you practice at Georgia Tech? We had our goalies in our shooting drills. Oh, you got your goalie in your shooting drill. I only got one goalie. He's warmed up. What am I going to do? Have him bang the ball against the wall, go collect balls? Let's get him right hand, left hand touches. And then instead of doing a split, he's going to do a walk the dog with a stick. Nothing wrong with my goalie getting 40 touches in 8 minutes, right hand, left hand. Right? Doesn't make him a bad person. Anyway, then we might break up into groups in this particular plan. And then what I want you to notice here is how many 6v6 or 10v10s do you see here? Not many. Generally, in my practices, we run 6v6 maybe twice a week. We run, that's the reason I asked you the question, we run more 6v6 skeleton after we've seen what their slide package is, you know, trying to, which is another interesting thing, right? I mean, a lot of the high school teams here, or especially at the U9, U11, U13, just to share a tip, you know, I think 99% of these people are teaching a coach slide, or a crease slide, maybe 10% are trying to coach some sort of coma slide. So right off the bat, instead of the traditional, the way we always ran, the 2-3-1 or 1-4 or deuces or whatever it turned out to be, we're even at the youth level and middle school level running a lot of open set stuff. Why? Because we're trying to put our kids in a position to be successful. If 90% of these teams are sliding from the crease, we're going to take the slide away. You know, and on a more advanced team, we'll actually, if they're sliding coma, I'll show you later, we'll run a pairs exchange on the backside, take the coma guy out, kind of like you see Ohio State running now and those kind of things. Anyway, let's keep going. Teach the love of lacrosse first, teach ground ball second. Fun is critical. Ball movement. Kids do not get better by chasing balls. If you go to my website and you read about the coaching clinics where I've been invited out, the #1 resounding comment is, it doesn't cost much to have him do a coaching clinic for you. Again, none of it is my stuff. It's what I've learned from the coaches that we've interviewed, but they'll all tell you that your ball budget is about to quadruple. Now, the film I'm going to show you now comes from a new program at Bremen. Coach Brent Sparks is here. I'll talk about him in a second. But when we have 20 to 25 players, we try and get 100 balls for the practice. 20 to 25 players, 100 balls of practice. Ken, what's your ball budget? Or how many cases do you buy at the beginning of the year?
We have this bucket of pearl, we get about at least 12 or 13.
Yeah. I can remember when I went to Auburn, I put 10 cases of balls. Lady goes, "Oh, you must have got a great price, at least for the next 3 years." No, man, no. You know, and then we set a goal for all our practices of trying to get 200 touches in the first hour. And I'm going to share with you how we do that. Again, I'm not saying we're right or we're wrong. I can remember being in Baltimore one time, and I was sitting at a table with all these guys that were drinking and eating wings. I wasn't, but they were. I had water with lemonade and I think a small salad. And the guys just happened to be talking about my website, which often happens, but they don't know it's me. Nobody knows it's me, right? And the guy's going, "Can this dude really coach? Does anybody know?" And the guy said, "I don't know, man. I got a buddy of mine in Atlanta. He said that the thing when you play a Muetzel team is you never know if any of their guys can shoot." Well, what? He said, "All they do is move the ball and get to the backside pipe." That's the way we play. And the coaches in here, there's a number of coaches in here that have coached against me. You know, we're really not a big high power. We try and manufacture transition and capitalize on transition. Coach Alberici that was here before, I told him, you know, I said when I interviewed his brother, Joe, real tight with Pete again, when I interviewed his brother, Joe, I found him to be one of the most analytical coaches. A lot of these NCAA coaches are a lot more analytical than you would expect. You think they're emotional, powerhouse, charismatic guys. Man, they're little numbers and little boxes, analyzing film, stats, data. It's mind-blowing now. You know, and God rest his soul, I'll talk about him in a little bit. My good friend David Huntley, who brought all those crossover NLL stats into the pro game. Anyway, another really analytical coach is a guy by the name of Mike Pressler. Everybody remember Mike Pressler, right? And Mike Pressler told me that he had a binder on every goal ever scored. And according to Mike Pressler, 86% of all NCAA goals occur in some way, shape, or form of transition. 86%. And his comment to me was, if 86% of the goals occur in transition, why wouldn't I practice 86% of my practice in transition, right? And then to Paul's point earlier, now we got to learn how to manufacture transition sometimes, right? We get that drive or we get that little curl back. Now we do have 2 men on the weak. After we've redirected strong to weak, we come back to weak side. We do got 2 guys, first guy beats. Now we got a 2-on-1. I'm in transition from the backside pipe, which is, I think, what some of your moves were really trying to accomplish, right? But anyway, so yeah, we practice a lot in transition, and it's a great way to get touches. I think Alberici made the comment earlier, when you're coaching youth, it's very difficult, right? Because Lou's got the guy with the beard that's 6'2", at U13 especially. So you got some guys that are 5'8", and some guys that are 4'8", right? And when you practice 4-on-4 or 6-on-6, the bigger kid's beating the snot out of Johnny. Johnny's not having any fun. So if you're coaching youth, my recommendation and my style is, we run literally 60 or 70% of our practice 3v2. Now you got to have a boatload of 3v2 loads. But the reason is because in 3v2 there's always somebody open. So the kids intuitively learn to play by looking up and passing, not even trying to beat somebody one-on-one. When we're in a 3v2 drill, when that first guy initiates, we don't want him to go to the cage, right? We want him to draw and dump. We want to get 2 passes, get the ball to the backside pipe. And that's what we do. And even my, the other teams that I've been blessed to coach at all levels, it's just kind of the way we've done it. So let me share a little bit about how this manifests itself at the youth level. We got away from, line drills, and then guys, the evolution was, in the old days we would do line drills forever, and then we said, oh no, we got to get the guys more touches. So now we're going to do line drills with 4 guys, right? 2 guys here, 2 guys there, so at least they would get more touches. We kind of morphed that into a drill. We also run this in pregame. How many guys are also coach summer ball here? This is a great, great drill for summer ball, because if you just got that little area to try and get your kids stretched and warmed up, a lot of things happen. So it's kind of like a 4-man line drill, if you will. This practice was filmed about, 2 or 3 weeks ago in like 38-degree weather at Bremen. Stand up, Prince Marks. Stand up. Every new emerging area out west in Georgia needs a champion. And what this guy has done for Lacrosse out there in Bremen in 3 years, they got like 60, 80 players in their youth program now. And he never played. I mean, these are the guys that we really need to be thankful for. And if you notice, they got a brand new field. They even got a B in the wall. But what I want to say is, a lot of these players are literally first and second year players. And the reason I told Mikey I want to do new film, because I want to show you how these college concepts, these high school concepts, these national champion concepts can be related down to the youth level. So in this particular case, we put out 2 cones roughly about 10 yards apart, and these kids are just going to run counterclockwise. Now when he comes to the apex of the circle, he's going to catch right and throw right. While this guy's coming up right-handed, catch right, throw right. One of the biggest problems for guys like me, or guys maybe, well, Lou's always been a youth coach too, but I mean, if you're a high school coach, one of the biggest frustrations you have is the kid that was a stud at U15, he never needed to move his feet when he threw and caught. So now you got to teach him to move his feet, right? He was a stud at U15, but guess what? This ain't U15 anymore. So the thing I love about this is we're constantly moving. And then, so we're going to catch right, throw right. 3 minutes into the drill, we're going to catch right, split, throw left. We're going to change the direction of the circle. We're going to catch left, throw left. We're going to catch left, split, throw right. Watch how fast this works. These kids are not polished lacrosse players, but I want you to see how the drill goes on, how they start to get the hang of it. So if you notice, all they're doing is running around this quick circle. He's going to come up. We keep the balls here, right? Again, we brought 100, might as well use them. Catch right, throw right. Right, and in a little bit, we're going to have them split. Catch right, split, throw left. Even the drill killers back here are starting to get the hang of it, right? One kid left his cello case in the parking lot. I'll refer to him as we go on. That was this guy right here. That was the cello player. I hope he's better at cello, actually. I was wearing white with a slimming black vest. I just thought I'd point out my fashion. So now you notice, right, we're coming up and we're going to start to split. And then we're going to change the direction of the circle and go left. So if I run this 8 minutes, how many touches do you think I've got in each player?
35.
35, 40. Oh,
I like your test.
Luke, can you take that? I my shit to work. Can't talk. Too old, too fat. The world has passed me by. Youth. You know, you can do line drills. You can do the touch breakout drills. You know, and one of the ones that I think a lot of us have always used is, and I don't know where it came from, maybe you know, Lou. I mean, we always called it the Syracuse Star Drill. Paulie, not a lot unlike what you said, but you know, this guy would break out and he would curl, you know, or maybe come around. This guy would, you know, be cut out. These balls would just move around. The guys would come back. What are our rules for drills now? They got to be short in duration. They got to be different every day, and they got to emulate a game situation. This is an unbelievably good drill, but it doesn't directly emulate a game situation. So you've always got those kids in the group that are saying, "Why are we doing this? I don't ever do this in a game." It's kind of like the old days when, you know, you do a line drill, you get to the end of the line, you would roll the ball back out to the next guy. I've yet to see that in an offense. You know, when we run to our partner, we roll it out behind him. So even though I'm trying to get right hand, left hand touches at the youth level, we often do that with shooting drills. And lest you think that doesn't make any sense, none of this stuff I learned, or none of it is mine. You know, this is a Coach Berkman concept. And I don't know if you know who Coach Berkman is. I want to say 13 of the last 19 D3 national championship games he's been in and won like 12 or 13 of them. He actually runs drills like this with his poles, with his goalies, 3 or 4 days a week in practice. So this is a very simple drill. The player's going to start in a single line. First guy down is going to go right-handed and shoot. Next guy's going to go left. They go back up in line and come back around. I'm getting them to feel the right hand and the left hand throw strings on their stick, but instead of partner passing, which might be good 1 day a week, but you can't do it every day a week, or the kids get bored and they tune you out, and now all of a sudden they fall out of our pyramid, right? Everybody loves to shoot. So here I'm going to get 30, 35 touches, right hand and left hand, and they get to shoot on every touch. Now, I'm not correcting here, oh, you know, you got to hammer the nail, we want your left hand down here, make sure your stick is high. The only thing I'm suggesting to them is that when they come down here, remember Brent, you can't shoot this with your feet pointed diagonally. You know, you see this all the time. The kids want to come down and shoot sidearm, their feet are pointed like this, the cage is over here, where's the ball go? Where their feet are pointed. You know, so at the very least, to your point, Paul, you used the term square up a number of times when the guys came down the dodge. So they're going to run down here. I want them to make a sharp break like a wide receiver, but at the same time, before they shoot, I want them to square. So we're trying to, young kids are good at multitasking. You know, we're trying to do a number of different things here in a very, very simple way. And if you notice, the pace of the practice, or the pace of the drill. Bang, go, go. And I'm blowing my whistle, right? I want them on the whistle. Bang, bang, bang. You can tell this is not an uber talented group. These guys will not be on the U17 national team next year. But you know what? If they get 250, 300 touches every day in practice, you may see them playing at the D1 level at some point. And if they don't want to play D1, wherever they want to play. So yeah, we're making them, like I said, it's a right-hand touch, a left-hand touch. Here we got our little guys. But do you understand, they're starting to feel the ball come out of their stick with the left hand off the throw strings without the ball flying over somebody's head, without them having to chase the ball after the fact. All I want them to do is feel the stick here, right? Feel the stick. And I'm not worried about somebody catching it at that point. So that's a basic why drill. We can do this at 2 stations, 3 stations. We can do it from the wing. I mean, there's a lot of ways you can make it different every day. Again, this group, when we went up there, when Lax coach Mike was coming to film at Bremen, my boy Brent here put it out like for the world. So normally I would have like 18 players, right? In this particular group, I think we had 24 or 26. But you can measure your touches by having an injured player make a notch every time somebody touches. Or what I do is take the number of players and figure 95 to 100 balls in a bucket and make sure that I'm getting what I had in my practice plan. So here, notice, now we're going to go to a 1-pass shooting drill. That was a no-pass shooting drill. This is kind of a low to high, but I want you to notice what happens here. This has to be a left-hand pass to a right-hand catch. This player has to demonstrate some type of lacrosse move. It could be a roll. It could be a split. So it's a left-hand pass, right-hand catch, but I want him to shoot inside shoulder, so it's going to be a left-hand shot. Left-hand pass, right-hand catch, some type of dodge, left-hand shot. Conversely, like that word, on the other side, right-hand pass, left-hand catch, some type of dodge into a right-hand shot. So again, you can imagine the amount of touches that we're getting here, and at the same time, presumably a lot of fun for the kids. And again, it's like Coach Alberici said earlier, if I'm doing this by myself, I can't do a lot of coaching. But ideally you have one coach blowing the whistle. Notice how fast I'm yelling at a kid for throwing with not his left hand. I was getting cold. I get ornery when I get cold. Does that happen to you? Anyway, notice we have goalies in here, everybody's in here. Now, are these kids really good? No, man, there's 2 or 3 guys in this group that can really play. But for the most part, I'm just getting them the touches. Lacrosse is so much more fun when your kids can throw and catch. And my good friend Steve Jamison, I used to do some work when he was coaching at Centennial years ago with him, kept asking me, what good is motion if I don't have guys that can throw and catch? So this is how we teach our kids, and I hope that the reputation of teams that I coach are that they're very, very good, quick, stick-handling teams. We don't hit anybody, right? And we don't run a lot of complicated stuff. And notice how the kids kind of improve as we get better. So I'm incorporating left-hand pass, I'm incorporating a left-hand catch, I'm incorporating a right-hand catch, a right-hand pass, and right-hand, left-hand shooting. Can you see where in 8 minutes we can very easily get each kid 35 touches?
What happens when the kid misses the pass? You just follow, does he go back and get his ball, or is he?
They never, I'm glad you said that. We never stop. Never stop. If you drop, you just run to the next line. On the rotation here, once you shoot, when you pass, you follow your pass. Once you shoot, you come in front of the cage diagonally low. Again, we never want anybody behind the cage, just in case one of those 35-mile-an-hour shots might hit them in the balls. I was just kidding about that. It's usually like 39 miles an hour. Anyway, so this is just the way we do it. Incidentally, in the Copperhead national team years ago, this is what we did. We run these drills in our high school and our college practices. Obviously, they look a little bit cleaner. So now we've integrated dodges from up top. The next variation of this is, now we're going to go high to low. It's going to be a right-hand pass to a left-hand catch. I've got cones set up diagonally here. We're going to come up here, and in today's game, right, there's 3 or 4 different kinds of inside rolls. But in this, we're going to use the old question mark inside roll. This is also a great way to teach your poles to roll. When a pole's carrying the ball up the sidelines and the attack cuts them off, and you're going to, before you redirect at the high school level, oftentimes we're teaching those guys to roll back and go the other way, right? So now I'm going to get my poles, big question mark rolls, 20 to 30 times in an 8-minute period here. So later on, when they start to grow up and we teach more sophisticated concepts on rides and clears. So again, here I got a right-hand pass, left-hand catch, up to an inside roll, which is going to be a right-hand shot. Here I have a left-hand pass, right-hand catch, up to an inside roll dodge, which is going to be a left-hand shot. Are there any questions on any of this? Am I as wacky as people think? It's a fun practice to go to. Hopefully. And again, what I want to point out to you is, and what I really wanted to make sure that I did, I love Brent to death, man. He's a big part of our family at Copperhead and Southern Crescent Lakes. But at the end of the day, oh, there's the cello guy. Nice shot by the cello guy, huh? Well, you know what? I think his left hand is a little bit stronger from him. I'm going to go to jail, Lou. Anyway. Presumably, as they, there we go, that's a cello guy. Right? But look, they have never seen this drill before. These kids have never seen this drill. And notice, as the time goes on, they get a little bit better. Oh, wrong shoulder, got to be left-hand pass. Left-hand pass, right-hand catch, drive little guy, drive, roll back, cello guys in the way, and shoot it. So again, these drills are 8 minutes, and I'm getting 35 to 40 touches in each one. In this particular practice, you know, I'm measuring by the buckets of balls. You know, so if I go through like 2.5 buckets of balls, I know that I got 250, you know, with 3 touches in each one, presumably, if that makes sense to you. So, where are we? On the practice plan, we did the circle drill for 10 minutes because we did the right and left. We drove the Y for 8 minutes. We did low to high, that's 4 lines, high to low. I'm into my practice now, 34 to 40 minutes, and I'm at 130 touches. And had the kids be a little bit more proficient, we could have run more drill. I mean, you know, we can get that a little bit higher. But that's a pretty good start, right? So now, how am I going to continue on my quest to getting 200 touches in the first hour? I got a pretty good start, man. 130 after a half hour, 40 minutes, 45 minutes. But how am I going to take it to the next level? All right? Now I'm going to get into my 3v2. Because in the 3v2 drills, the kids have to pass the ball. Have to pass the ball. This is a drill that I think is probably one of the most popular drills on our entire website. And I love it because you can do so many things with it. It's so cool, isn't it, to see they announce the coaches from the PLL, regardless of what you think about the PLL. You know, when you see the guys like Starsia getting their just due. I know he did some things that he's eternally sorry for, but Chris Bates is a good friend of mine. To see him get another chance after losing his wife to cancer and all the stuff he's been through is great. But the one I really love on the PLL staff is Andy Towers. This is an Andy Towers drill. When he was at Dartmouth, they didn't have great teams, and he lost, or he got replaced. But this is his drills. He called them swing drills. And here's the reason that this drill is so cool. In the basic configuration, I'm going to start till the kids learn the drill. And this is the first time they saw it. So I got cones here, right? And balls. And players and balls. And players and balls. Now, since this is the first time they saw the drill, I'm going to make it real easy. And I'm going to put my poles down here at GLE. So what happens is, these are cones. You know, we might run the drill from here. This guy carries. This guy comes out. The big focus here is, for the poles, you know, one guy's got the ball, then immediately he opens his hips to the inside, he recovers to the inside. So our poles, you should only be in one of 2 places. You're either on the ball or you're in the hub. On the ball, in the hub. On the ball, in the hub. So it's a great way to teach recovery to a 9th grader. And you'd be amazed at how this manifests itself in the game at 6v6. Because he knows as soon as my guy passes, I got to recover inside of the hub. Anyway, so in a base drill, we start here. You understand this, right? Simple. Here's what makes the drill cool. We put a ball in this guy's stick, a ball in this guy's stick, and a ball in this guy's stick. So wherever I point, this guy carries, goes around the cone. The cone is just so the defense has a little bit of a chance to recognize. If I point my stick here, he carries around the cone. This guy drops, runs around the cone. This guy drops, runs around the cone. So every time there's a different sequence of who's touching the ball and how it goes. Now what am I trying to do? I'm making it fun for the kids, but what am I really trying to do? What I'm trying to do here is emulate in a game that we got beat on a wing dodge. Now we got to cover up here. Or we got beat on a topside dodge, right? And now we've got to recover inside. This is the base drill. I can make this drill totally different by putting this line of defenders up here as an LSM or D midi. Now the total rotation of where the recovery is totally different, right? Wait till you see the magic in this drill now. I could take this line and this line, I could put them back here. Now the kids don't know this, but when I point my stick, now I'm going to point my stick 80% of the time at the guys behind. So what am I emulating? I'm emulating that one of our little 9th graders, the kid with the cello probably, right? He got back cut. So these guys are, now again, we're teaching our poles, we don't want you to go behind, GLE in a transition moment. If these guys want to stand back here for days, let them stand back there. Who cares, right? But we're teaching these guys, you got to get in front, get in front. So now we're doing a 3v2 drill with a lot of touches, but we're pretending that this guy got back cut. Or I could put one group over here, I'm blowing the whistle mostly here, emulating that this guy's open on a back cut. So pretty soon, when I go to youth practices or I get asked to work camps, all I hear is, big eye, little eye. That's creepy. What does that mean, big eye, little eye? Put your head on a swivel. That's equally as creepy, right? If you run drills where guys are constantly having to protect the backside intuitively, then it starts to come more natural. And I always get people ask me, how come you don't run more slide packages? Well, we're trying to get the kids to adjust. Lacrosse is a fluid game. You design one slide package and you play Corsetti and he takes your slide guy out of the offense. Everybody else needs to be able to adjust on the fly. So again, if you notice, the reps are very quick. I let them go a little bit here. But if you drop the ball, it's a new group, right? We're never going to get to 30 or 35 touches. But how cool is this, man? These kids never saw this drill before. But if you notice, nobody is going to get beat up one-on-one because the ball is, I got to tell the cello guy, I got to run around the cage, or run around the cover. Right? He passes over. This guy should recover inside. Oh, we got a shot there. I don't really care, if they shoot. So now we come over, we make a look. He goes out, he recovers to the hub. He's got the ball, he recovers to the hub. Wouldn't you love it if your high school guys recovered like this? But in a 3v2, they have no other option. There's no other superfluous stuff to worry about, right? So it's a great way to teach the basic fundamentals of slide and recovery, and the kids naturally pass the ball. Nobody drives on anybody in this entire drill because we're looking for the open guy all the time. And hopefully that's how we get to that Muetzel guy shoot from the backside pipe thing. Does any of this make sense? Again, I'm not saying my philosophies are right or wrong. There's a lot of great coaches in this room. Now I want to share with you how we can take a 3v2 drill and directly emulate a game situation, and at the same time, your bonus for the day is how to eliminate a part of practice that really sucks. What's the biggest thing you do in practice that sucks the most? Conditioning. After conditioning, what sucks the most?
Getting balls.
Yeah, that's why we break 400.
Talking to the parents.
Rides and clears, right? Trying to teach U9, U11 rides and clears is like herding cats. They can't hear you. Nobody's paying attention. Seems like whenever you try and coach rides and clears, it starts to rain. I don't know why. Now, this is not Brent's group. This is a camp I did in Chicago. This is a U13, U15 combo team. Again, they never saw this drill before. So we talked about emulating game scenarios. We talked about multitasking. We talked about getting touches. We talked about keeping it a 3v2, so the fundamentals of ball movement and recovery are there all the time. Here's the way this works. The goalie is going to yell clear. These two lines of poles are going to banana cut out, just like we would in a clearing drill, right? Now we're going to redirect the ball across. Initially we got to have a pile of balls and a pile of balls. But the goalie, these banana cut out, goalie throws it either way he wants. This guy now throws a redirect pass. Practicing redirect passes sucks, right? But you can't clear if you can't redirect. Because when you play the surge team, that sneaky guy over there is going to overload a side on a ride, and if your kids can't get it to the backside, you know, they're going to eat you alive. So, once we redirect, we want the kid to bang. There's 3 lines of shorties up here. We want him to bang it to this line of shorties. He bangs it to the middle, and now these 3 guys come flying down. 5 or 6 years ago on the website, coaches started to talk to me all the time about how they would integrate rides and clears into their drills rather than, you know, you just don't want to do a drill and give the ball to the offense again all the time. You might with a youth team, but, you know, you want to make them clear and ride as part of the drill, right? I mean, the game doesn't stop so you can get set up and you ride. I've tried to do that with refs all the time. Hey, give us a second. We're not set up, man. Fortunately, I was a ref here for like 8 years, so I get a little more latitude than maybe what Lou suggested. Anyway, they come down here, now we're in a 3v2. So again, this redirect pass is great. A lot of people do a transition drill and then end up in a ride or clear afterwards, right? This is the opposite. This drill comes from Coach Schillinglaw at Delaware. We love it. Our kids love it. And so this is a clearing drill that ends in transition instead of the other way around. What I want you to particularly watch here is how the kids pick up on this drill. The first 4 or 5 reps are hard to watch. And then I want you to see how they get the hang of it. We don't give these kids credit enough times, you know? But again, nobody is grabbing Billy by the shirt. We're letting them learn by touching. And notice the same recovery inside. I got the ball, I recover to the hub. Now I got the ball, that guy recovers to the hub. I mean, number 1, they're from Chicago. Number 2, they've never seen a drill before. And at this level, we try and never clear the ball in the middle of the field. So what we're also doing here is reinforcing the principle of, you know, we want to clear. I mean, presumably we want to clear on the non-box side so they can't sub in and mess up our clear. But in this particular drill, see the way this works. So my point here is, you know, we can use 3v2, the same philosophy about touches, and create game scenarios. Does that make sense? Colleges run this drill now, just so you know, where they'll put in essence, a crease defenseman in here too. So, and they'll put 4 lines up top. So now when this guy, ball comes out, we redirect it. As soon as the redirect comes, this guy cuts up to the redirect, he throws it to him, he throws it there. Now we got 4 lines up here coming down on 3. And you can make it, you know, a totally different drill. The key element here is to make sure our goalies are yelling at these guys because they have a tendency to set up way too high. And we tell our guys, never set up any higher than you can get back. You know, and a lot of times they'll set up way too high, and I tell them, man, Jesus is the only guy that can get back that fast. Don't worry about how far out you are, worry how fast you can get back. So, one of the last ones I want to show you is, there are a lot of new trends in lacrosse now. And what you see, and I know for some of the youth coaches, just hang in there with me, okay? This may not make entirely a lot of sense to you, but in the old days, you know, we ran our motion, and you heard some great terms. I never had luck using the word triangles with any players I ever coached. I just stay away from that word. You know, the concept is good, but not the word. So we use drive, vacate, and fill. Just like you were talking in, over, and, you know, same thing. Only we say, if you want to run with the ball, you run with the ball. If a guy runs at you with the ball, you get out of his way. If the guy next to you runs with the ball, you go replace his space. Simple enough for Muetzel. Anyway, now you're seeing new offenses, right? Where instead of, when this midi drives, instead of this guy clearing out, Paul, we run that out of open set, and we'll pop that guy up right past the second pipe with nobody inside. You know, I take my midi out when I run that look you're running. Anyway, now you're seeing when this guy comes down, if you watch college lacrosse, what's happening is, and if you play against Mike Ryan, you know, you're seeing this newfangled pairs offense, if you will. So when this guy comes down, this attackman is basically exchanging with him on a lot of college lacrosse teams now. Or he's got the option of a pick or a slip, or just a simple exchange, right? And the only reason I chose this new concept was I wanted to show you how you can integrate this into any drill at youth and still get the touches. So what we're going to do here is we're going to run a 3v2 with the same team. Never saw the drill before, but I'm going to start with a pass down, pick down, and bring my other offensive player from over here. So I'm emulating a game scenario even in a 3v2. And if those of you that are playing around with deuces or other sets like this, again, I'm not encouraging you necessarily to do this. What I'm saying is whatever element of your offense you run, you can break it down into a 3v2. Now this is a little rough. They've never seen it before, and they've probably never been taught to pass down, pick down. But if you notice, we're going to pass down here. Oh, cello guy. We're going to pass down. He's going to pick. Cello's going to come around. We're bringing another offensive guy in from over here. And again, all I'm trying to do, he's got to recover, baby, is get a lot of touches, make sure there's always somebody open to pass to. But rather than take the time out of a youth practice to run 20 minutes of skeleton, I'm going to integrate it into a 3v2. Now those of you that played sports, other sports in high school, this is no different than shooting 100 layups in basketball practice. This is no different than shooting 100 takedowns in wrestling. We're going to initiate, we're going to run a pass down, pick down, could be out of our 23, could be out of our open set, could be out of our deuces, right? And immediately when he comes off the pick, what does he do intuitively? He's got his head up to pass because it's a 3v2 drill. Again, am I crazy or what? So now, where are we in our practice plan? We did the swing drills from Andy Towers, clear to 3v2, pass down, pick down, another 80 minutes. So, another 80 touches. So now I'm at 210 touches, and I'm about 70 minutes into my practice. Now if you want to bore everybody and play 4v4 or 6v6, be my guest, but I'm going home and eating tacos. So, touches, 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 make it fun and different every day. This means your practice planning has to be right on. And you've got to work as a coach to be able to do all these different variations of a drill. With a little creativity, any drill could be 4 or 5 drills. Make sure they emulate game scenarios. So you're not teaching one thing and then adjusting it to the game when you can combine the two together and keep those things going fast. I'm good. Yeah?
Given the high speed of what you're doing and all the balls you said you had, when are you breaking to actually get those on the field and back into your buckets?
When I run out.
Literally. Okay.
When I run out. There's probably a better answer to that, but I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed. Questions? Make the drills different every day, 7 to 10 minutes. Emulate game situations, and you notice the pace of this practice is lightning fast. So to all the other speakers' comments you heard today, how much conditioning do I need to do? Not a lot. Sorry, did I go on?
I'm proud to announce we are back on time. You've got 10 minutes, and the Georgia Tech staff will be speaking next on goalie training and facing off.
Hey,
So
listen, if
take
you
a
want to
quick
get me, Mike at latchcoachmike.com.